If you enjoy unsolved mysteries, dark minds, and crimes that defy logic, go ahead and like this video, share it with fellow true crime lovers, and leave your theory about this case in the comments. Today, we're diving into one of the most disturbing enigmas in US criminal history. Prepare to meet true terror, the Zodiac Killer. From the late 1960s, the west coast of the United States was experiencing a turbulent period. Protests against the war, cultural revolutions, and the rise of counterculture. But amidst the effervescence of freedom, California plunged into a real nightmare. A mysterious man, or perhaps more than one, began to spread fear across San Francisco and neighboring cities, brutally murdering young couples and sending encrypted letters to newspapers, challenging the police and the press. He called himself Zodiac. He was never caught, never identified, but his signature became a symbol of fear and obsession. Unlike many serial killers, Zodiac didn't just seek to kill. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to be feared. He wanted total control over the narrative. He is believed to have killed at least 5 people, but he himself claimed in his letters to be responsible for 37 murders. What was most frightening? His intelligence and coldness. He manipulated the press, marked the police, and used complex codes, called encrypted ciphers, which even today have not all been deciphered. The first known attack occurred on December 20th, 1968, near Vallejo, California. Teenagers Betty Lou Jensen, 16, David Faraday, 17, were at a secluded spot, a lover's lane. Without warning, a man approached the car and shot. David was shot in the head at point-blank range inside the vehicle. Betty Lou tried to flee but was shot in the back and died at the scene. Police, with no clues and no witnesses, believed it was an isolated case. But the true horror was just beginning. In July 1969, couple Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mago were parked in the same Vallejo County. A car approached. The driver got out and, without saying a word, opened fire. Darlene was killed with multiple shots. Michael, seriously wounded, survived and would become one of Zodiac's only living witnesses. Shortly after the crime, police received an anonymous phone call. The male voice claimed responsibility for both attacks and provided details that only the true killer could know. In August 1969, 3 different newspapers received practically identical letters, signed with an enigmatic symbol, a circle with a cross, the Zodiac's mark. In the letters, the killer described the crimes with precision and demanded that his cryptograms be published on the front pages of newspapers, or he would kill again. The content caused panic. The language was cold, meticulous, and full of arrogance. Zodiac wanted to play a game and was dictating the rules. The first of the 3 cryptograms, known as Z408, was deciphered by a couple of teachers. The message was disturbing. I like killing because it is so much fun. When I die, I will be reborn in paradise, and all those I have killed will be my slaves. He gave no name, no age, no personal clues. He only revealed the pleasure of killing. It was a mind game, a challenge. And it seemed that with each new attack, Zodiac became bolder. The press went into a frenzy. TV shows, radio stations, and newspapers began to cover the case daily. Police formed special teams to investigate, but with every step they took, the killer was one step ahead. Fear spread through California like wildfire. Couples avoided going out at night, and paranoia settled in the streets. Zodiac had gotten what he wanted: attention, terror, and control. And this was just the beginning. On the afternoon of September 27, 1969, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were enjoying a quiet day of leisure on the shores of Lake Berryessa, California, Suddenly, a hooded man appeared. He seemed calm but carried a gun. He demanded that the couple tie themselves up and then began a brutal attack. Brian was stabbed 6 times, Cecilia, in a desperate act of resistance, tried to flee, but was mortally wounded. The killer then drew the Zodiac symbol on his own body, that circle with the cross, and he wrote a phrase on the car door. This attack was different, not only because of its violence, but because the perpetrator left marks and symbols. A clear signature for the police and the public to link the crime to him less than a month later. On October 11, 1969, Zodiac changed his target. Now a taxi driver, Paul Stein, was murdered in San Francisco, and like previous attacks, this one happened in a busy urban area. Near the famous Presidio Heights area, Paul was shot in the head, and the killer stole part of his wallet. The crime shocked the city, showing that Zodiac was not afraid of the police or the public. It was as if he was daring everyone to catch him. Shortly after the taxi driver's murder, lawyer Melvin Belli received a letter from Zodiac. In the letter, the killer asked for help for a wounded prisoner and threatened to kill if his demands were not met. Melvin Belli, the public figure famous for defending controversial cases, became an involuntary part of Zodiac's cruel game, who used communication to terrorize and manipulate. In November 1969, Zodiac sent his most complex cryptogram to date, the so-called Z340. For decades, this message remained undeciphered, fueling theories and obsessions. In 2020, finally, a team of American and Australian cryptographers revealed its content. The letter contained a message of arrogance and contempt, but also obscure clues about the killer himself. This letter showed a man who loved control, manipulation, and fear. It was the culmination of the challenge he posed to the police. Witnesses who survived or observed the perpetrator provided vague descriptions. A white man of average height, wearing dark glasses and ordinary clothes. Police produced sketches, but none led to a capture. Even with an intense manhunt, Zodiac always seemed to be one step ahead, disappearing before he could be caught. Various theories began to circulate. Was he a war veteran, a psychopath, a loner, or a group of people? Collective fear spread rapidly. Many avoided going out at night, and even today, the name Zodiac is synonymous with mystery and terror. His story inspired books, films, and documentaries, keeping the enigma alive. Over the years, police investigated dozens of suspects, but the name that stands out most is Arthur Leigh Allen. Allen was a former elementary school teacher in Vallejo who had a history of strange behavior and violent tendencies. Witnesses and even former colleagues reported that he had a fixation on Zodiac and even possessed objects related to the case. But there was no definitive evidence to convict him. Allen died in 1992, never having been formally accused. Other names emerged, such as Rick Marshall and other men who, for different reasons, raised suspicions. None of them, however, were confirmed. Until the early 1970s, Zodiac continued sending letters, some with codes, others with threats. After that, he simply disappeared. He was never heard from again, which only added to the mystery. In a final letter sent in 1974, he mentioned, "I am not the Zodiac and never was. This is the last letter." But was it true, or just another lie to confuse? With the advancement of technology, especially in the fields of DNA and forensic and digital analysis, new attempts have been made to find clues. In 2018, Vallejo police announced that they had collected DNA samples from the letters sent by Zodiac. To this day, no conclusive results have been released. Amateur and professional researchers have also used artificial intelligence to try to identify patterns in handwriting, style, and messages. One of the greatest recent breakthroughs was the deciphering of the C340 code in December 2020. After decades, an international team of cryptographers revealed the content of the message, an arrogant and provocative statement, but without revealing the killer's true identity. It read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not the man. I am the pride of Satan. I will not give the names of victims because I do not want people to be murdered in hell, to burn. In hell is a fair price for what I did." Words that show how dark and disturbed his mind was. He spoke of himself as an evil entity, a being who loved to spread terror. This showed that, despite his intelligence and daring, Zodiac still holds secrets that will probably never be revealed. The Zodiac Killer became a legend, a symbol of the disturbed mind that enjoys manipulating and terrorizing without being caught. Books, films, series, and documentaries have helped keep interest in the case alive and inspired other investigations and stories of serial killers, but for the victims' families, the case never ended. The pain and the search for justice remain. The Zodiac Killer may be one of the greatest mysteries in American crime, a shadow that still haunts California and the world. Will we ever know who he truly was, or will the enigma remain forever? Leave your opinion in the comments, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for following this series. See you at the next mystery.